Here we go. Okay, yep, we're live. I'm gonna get this full screen, and then I just need to check one thing. So my only problem doing it this way is that okay, I can monitor the chat from my phone. Perfect. Because we do have a live chat for eventually. I doubt anybody's gonna watch live on this one, although maybe not. That would be us. Okay. Cool.
Sweet, we're live.
Well, yep, we're live. We're rolling. Welcome everybody to the first episode of Down the Middle. This podcast, we're going to talk about wrestling. Lots of wrestling. Good old-fashioned wrestling. Oh, somebody is watching. Hot damn. Yeah, welcome, person. Identify yourself. I don't trust you. Okay, so before we get into it, I got a bone to pick with you, buddy. You didn't tell me you were tag team champion. You're tag team champion. You won it at Cold Day in Hell. You got a little bit of an assist, but we'll take it. We'll take it. You say you got 16 titles? You're getting there. You'll get there. Audio. All right, so you wanted to talk about, I believe you're, well, okay, so before we get into that, I want to point, we're both champions. So I won this bad boy on Thursday. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Is that an official challenge? All right, we'll get the details. You got a video game picked out, or we'll figure it out. Okay, so it's official. Ben, first person to challenge me for the All Events Welcome World Championship. And I know some of you may be thinking that looks an awful like the All Elite Wrestling title belt. It's not. This is smaller. This one's smaller. It's compact. Well, this is All Events Welcome means you can challenge it in any way, shape, or form, provided that it's legal. If you need an explanation of the rules and bylaws, the first ever champion was Eric. He was crowned in a Cards Against Humanity game, and before that game started, we went through all the rules and regulations. It's very brief. And at some point, I'm going to be uploading a video separate so that you can just watch the clip. But, so Ben's challenging me. All right, we'll figure it out. It doesn't have to be a video game, though. It can be anything. Right on. Just give me some. Just got to get some time to practice. Oh, hiya, Average Intelligence Productions. He's in the chat now. Yeah, you were the first champion, you motherfucker. Alrighty, so you wanted to talk about basically like not necessarily retired, but older wrestlers that are still wrestling today. Oh, apparently you're muted, buddy. Well, no, because I can hear you. Oh, apparently you're muted, buddy. Yeah, it's weird because I can hear you, but for some reason, you shouldn't be muted. Yeah, it's weird because I can hear you, but for some reason, you shouldn't be muted. Oh, hang on. I know what might be the case.
Yeah, it's weird because I can hear you, but for some reason,
Hold up.
you shouldn't be muted.
Oh, hang on. I know what might be the case.
Yeah, it's weird because I can hear you, but for some reason.
Can you hear me now? All right. All right. So run back through what we were just saying because nobody heard me. I'm challenging Mr. Jake here for the All Events Welcome title. Yes. And also like we did say, I won the tag team titles for the 13th time. That is okay. Now, yes, to the Ric Flair. Woo! All right. Now, current topic at hand. Retired wrestlers still wrestling. Yeah, the man who is now cleared to wrestle. When 5 years ago he was near paralyzation. Right. So does that mean that Sting got the same research as Daniel Bryan and Edge? It was his neck from the buckle bomb. Right. And then when he came back at the Royal Rumble last year, it's like, hi, welcome back.
Okay, let me know now, Eric. We'll get this figured out. It's our first one.
We'll get this figured out. It's our first one.
Okay, I can hear myself now.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you came too.
Okay, I can hear myself now.
Okay.
Okay, we're good.
All right.
Bitching. All right. So yeah, best Royal Rumble. I was gonna say return, but I guess Royal Rumble debut since AJ Styles.
Yeah.
Tell me you didn't pop for that. Tell me you didn't pop for AJ Styles at the Rumble.
There's a funny story about that actually. I did pop for AJ Styles coming to debut, even though it was like talks about it leading up to it, though, that he was going to be there.
Now, there were rumors everywhere about a bunch of Bullet Club people ending up in WWE, and I think most people, like, I thought he was going to WWE, but I thought he was going to end up in NXT. I did not expect to see him on the main roster.
But what? Just like what Samoa? Well, because Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens and McIntyre and all them did.
Basically, WWE wasn't just bringing people into the main roster at the time. Everybody was going to NXT.
Right, but they obviously had big plans for him, especially since he went straight to the main roster, especially when he did go to the Royal Rumble.
Well, and also, I mean, it is AJ Styles. I mean, I don't think AJ needed NXT, and NXT didn't need him at the time either.
Right, because
NXT was stacked at the time. They did not need AJ Styles, and AJ Styles did not need NXT. AJ Styles is somebody you could put right, well, and they did. You can put him right on Raw or SmackDown, and he's already in the main event picture.
Right. I totally agree with that. What's funny about that is, I was saying, funny story. is I was at my job at the time, and I've had my phone set up in a part of the room that I was actually cleaning, and I was cleaning the room and everything, yada yada, while listening to the rumble. And like when I would want to hear something spectacular come out, I go over, watch a little bit of it, then go back clean.
So
Well,
basically what I do anytime WWE programming is on right now.
Well, when there's cameras in said room, and I'm supposed to be cleaning, not really watching WWE or anything that matter. Well, where I had my phone set up, cameras where surveillance was looking directly, watching what I was watching. And of course, yada yada. They call my boss like, "Hey, he's watching WWE. You need to talk to him about that." I'm like, of course, I get a call in the office like, "Why are you watching wrestling?" Like, "Oh, because it's the Royal Rumble. That's why."
You're doing what you need to be doing.
So, of course, I go back in there and take my phone. I cock it to another point to where they couldn't see. I didn't care. It was the Royal Rumble. It's AJ Styles.
Speaking of AJ Styles and big plans, I think they're getting ready to bury him. I don't understand why, but I think they're getting ready to bury him.
So you think that he's lived the hype that he is, and it's like, okay, we've given him the title so many times and done this and this and that, and now it's time to bury him? Is that what you think?
No, I think he's not a Vince McMahon creation, and therefore WWE has run out of the star quality that he had before. Now he's a WWE guy. He's been there long enough, but he's not a Vince McMahon product. And Vince doesn't like to play with toys that he didn't make. Like, this goes back. We know this. This is nothing new. And the only reason I say that, and this is, so I hope I'm wrong, but I hadn't been watching WWE for a long time. And then when I started again, first thing I see is they got him paired with that big 7-foot tall dude. I'm like, why does AJ Styles need a bodyguard? Like, AJ Styles does not need protection. At least never in his career. So that was weird. But I'm looking, I'm like, this dude could pick AJ up and throw him. And dude's obviously a wrestler. Like, because every extra in WWE is a wrestler. Even the therapist was a wrestler.
Well, not all people are not wrestlers. I mean, there are some that are. Who could I point out? Look, I believe Mojo Riley. Before he was a wrestler, he was a football player.
Well, yeah, but at some point he'd been in developmental and he was being trained as a wrestler.
Right.
Yeah, so like he may not be a wrestler yet, but he might be in training. But he's probably going to end up in the ring at some point. Right,
but the thing is though is if you look at AJ's career, if he's not by himself, which is very rare for him to go by himself, he's usually paired up with people.
Yeah, he's usually in some type of faction, but, well, I don't know, maybe not, because...
Okay.
Well, that happened a lot in TNA, though, but that was just because he'd been there for so long, they were running out of stuff to do with him. It's like, okay, we can only put the world title on him so many times.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though, he never really held the world title in TNA that much.
No, because they spent a lot of time with him in the X division. I think the first half of his career there, he was not even in the world title picture, I don't think.
He was.
In the first half, in the first 5 or 6 years?
Yes.
Okay. I'm wrong. I'm not a student of TNA, so that's...
Well,
but I know he spent a lot of time in the X division, which makes sense. But
when I first started, and I know that there's buddies of mine that hate this because I'm a know-it-all. I'm sorry, I know my wrestling. I'm sorry about that. But,
that's good. I will rely on your encyclopedic knowledge.
I have encyclopedic knowledge of a lot of things, which is bad. he not only was the X Division champion, he was also the NWA Tag Team champion with Jerry Lynn at the same time.
Yep.
But also, when he was part of Vince Russo's little faction called SEX, Sex Sports Entertainment. During that point in time, he was the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah, before TNA split with the NWA. Yep.
He won the belt like two times. NWA World title. And then he didn't have the world title again until he won that Fatal 4-Way.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't thinking about the NWA title, but yeah, you're right. So never mind, I was completely off base there. He was in the world title picture very early on in his career there.
Right.
But I guess, like, I don't know, maybe I'm bitter because I feel like his Japan run didn't do everything that it could do.
But then again, it goes back to what I said just a minute ago. He was always paired with somebody. And in Japan, who was he with? He was with Bullet Club. He was the leader.
At least he was the head.
Right.
Okay, so I think AJ Styles works very well as the leader of a group, but as a protected, like as somebody who needs a bodyguard, it doesn't make sense to me, because at least when he's in the leader of the group, it's like, yeah, he's got people watching his back, but he's in charge.
Right. Now, this goes back to what we were trying to talk about a little bit ago. And it's about retired wrestlers.
Yeah, I know.
Right. And
I have a bad habit. We're going to get off topic so many times, but we can keep bringing it back.
Now, what's your thought process on this?
What?
Well, because...
On retired wrestlers still wrestling?
Yes.
Depends on the wrestler. For example, I brought up when we did the podcast on Average Intelligence, one of my favorite matches was Pentagon Jr. versus Vampiro.
Right.
And we all know Vampiro's long past his prime by his own admission. But that was still a hell of a match. And if you're a fan of Pentagon, you know that match was significantly at a slower pace than you're used to seeing Pentagon work. But there's a reason. But they did it in a way that I don't think, because sometimes when they're in there with an older like wrestler coming out of retirement, sometimes it just doesn't look good because it's obviously covering the physical limitations of the older wrestler.
Right.
I think that match is really good because they did it in a way where it was clear the pace was to benefit Vampiro, but they did it in a way that it looked like Vampiro was controlling the match in an athletic way. You know what I mean? Like It looked like he was slowing Pentagon down.
Right.
So that match was really good. On the opposite end of the spectrum, and I'm going to catch so much flack. I'm going to catch so much heat for this, brother. Undertaker's match against Cena at WrestleMania, whichever that one was.
It was a couple years ago, yeah.
Yeah, a couple years ago. That was painful to watch.
It technically wasn't even a match.
Don't get me started on that. That was just annoying.
Okay.
Honestly, when Taker came, like I knew they were building that up, and I'm like, why? We all know Cena's going to have a match. He's at WrestleMania. He's going to have a match. So why are you pretending like he's not? And then he comes out like 3 times. And he's like, oh, where's the Undertaker? Where's the Undertaker? I guess he's not here. Undertaker's there. Like, come on. That match was
right. No, you're fine. Well, this gets back to my point of Goldberg. Okay.
Goldberg, yep.
Okay. I'm a WCW mark. I will admit that till I'm dead. I will admit that. Even though.
So why aren't you in love with AEW?
I never said I wasn't.
Oh, I thought you weren't. I thought you were. Never mind.
I never said I wasn't.
AEW is like WCW 2.0, but in some ways.
It is WCW 2.0. I mean, look at the Big Show. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that?
Hey, it's Paul White, brother. Kayfabe.
Oh, no, you're right. No, it's no kayfabe. Because when he went to WWE, what was he
Oh,
got
that was
called?
kayfabe. Now it's a shoot.
Oh no, you're right.
His name is Paul White.
It's his real name. Everybody knows that. Anyways,
Okay, so not to get off topic, but I have a question for you. Since you are a wrestler,
okay.
is it insulting for me to use wrestling terms, being that I am not in the industry, nor have I been trained in the industry?
I mean,
This podcast is the cat's ass.
I see that. Technically, since you've done it before, done this per se before, and you've done it for what? How long did you do it for?
Done what, like on the media side of it?
Well, yeah, your previous podcast, yes. Didn't you say you
I
did
mean, kind of. I don't really count that though.
it? Okay, well, technically, but if you want to be considered as using wrestling jargon and everything, you technically would have to. Because you don't want to look at it as, okay, you don't look at it as disrespectful towards people.
That's why I'm asking, because what I don't want to do is I don't want to disrespect the wrestlers, because, and that's why when I'm commenting about what's going on, I try not to. I make a conscious effort to not comment on the work because I've never done it. I think wrestlers are the only ones that can comment on the quality of the in-ring work.
Right. Right.
Now, if there's something that's obvious, I'm like, that looks like it was a mistake. I don't feel like that's disrespectful, but saying in there being like, oh, that match was the shits, and that moonsault was so shitty, it's like, fucking, can you do one?
Okay, but in my retrospect on that is I can critique. Everybody can critique anything.
Right, but to me, it's kind of like, what's a good example? I try not to critique things that I myself have not or cannot do.
Oh no, you're right. No, you're right, because you've never been.
I try. I fail sometimes, but like I've always kind of wondered about that, because like I like to use the terms, and a lot of fans use the terms, but I've always wondered what wrestlers think about it. And I guess I kind of got an unofficial blessing, because when I was shooting one of the EWF events, I'll never forget. I was doing crowd shots. I was in the crowd pointing there because I was the mobile camera, and wrestler by the name of Nate Phoenix, who was like, "Hey brother, if you point your camera over there, you can get more of the marks in the shot." I'm like, okay, so I guess I'm cool to use it because he assumes that I know what it means.
Oh, Nate Phoenix. That's.
Oh. Is there heat?
No, there's no heat. Just
okay.
No.
I enjoyed his match. I enjoyed his match a lot.
That's a story for another day.
Story for another podcast. A backstage heat between Genocide and Nate Phoenix.
No, that was Ben the Ref. That was Ben the Ref.
Oh, that was back when you were the ref.
Yes.
So when did you go from refereeing to Genocide?
I've been Genocide this whole time. But during my but actually from 2007 2009, I technically was wrestling / not wrestling, but I was more reffing than anything.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah. So, and that's when I was doing the stuff, and like I ref Jerry the Lawler's match and everything else on the independent circuit. Got the power driver. Yay me.
Hey, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Don't take that away from yourself.
Oh, I'm not.
Like,
but
still watch it.
But getting back to what I was saying, like Goldberg, earlier this year he went for the Universal title. Went for the world title. Sorry, the WWE title against Drew McIntyre. Yep. And my opinion is they brought him in just to job him out. So it's like, what's the point? It's like you just pay this man to come in just to lose when you could use somebody on your actual roster to build.
I guess maybe what they were thinking was they've already marketed Goldberg as this unstoppable monster, and to have Drew beat. I don't agree with their logic because I'm with you. It's like there's plenty. They've got probably one of the most talent stacked rosters ever. There's plenty of guys that Drew McIntyre can beat to be legit. I guess what they were thinking is that, Drew McIntyre slayed the beast, but why not have Drew McIntyre beat Brock Lesnar?
Which he did at WrestleMania last year.
Is that where he got the title?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Forgive me. I haven't been watching WWE for a long time, so never mind. They did. Well, okay, so I guess maybe because did Goldberg beat Brock? I can't remember.
Goldberg's beating Brock. Okay, he beat Brock at WrestleMania 20, and then when Goldberg finally came back, he wrestled him at Survivor Series. Forgive me? I don't remember what it was. Yeah, it was recent, yes. He beat Brock Lesnar in no time flat. And then a couple months later, he faced Kevin Owens for the Universal title, won that. And then they finally had their big the trifecta match, what is that called? The go home match. The rubber match, yes, that's it. Between Goldberg and Lesnar, and that's when Goldberg finally lost that third one and dropped the belt to Lesnar.
Okay, now that I remember, yeah. I don't know. I guess their logic was they wanted to make Drew look like he could beat Goldberg, but it's like, I mean, yeah. Maybe 10 years ago that would have been more impactful, but Goldberg's not been active, like very active in the business for a long time.
Right, and that's especially when he had that match with Taker. Oh God, that was.
I didn't see it, but I heard, and like I said, I don't want to comment on. And so, defending what I said about Taker's match, Undertaker even said on the Joe Rogan podcast, he was like, I was not where I wanted to be from a conditioning standpoint, and he even said, I would quit when my peers were telling me that I couldn't go, but nobody wants to tell Undertaker that he can't go.
Right.
So, and I'm paraphrasing, but I think he said something to the effect of, he's like, I probably overstayed my welcome because nobody wanted to tell the Undertaker that he couldn't go. But that guy's list of injuries is just astounding.
Right.
I mean, that's unreal. So the fact that he was able to work around that for as long as he did was.
Well, the thing is, though, is in the match, they both got dropped on their heads.
Yeah. I wasn't a fan of that match. Maybe it was because it didn't have build-up. I thought to myself, I was like, ooh, I don't know that was the best idea for WrestleMania, but I get it. You won the Undertaker, but
it wasn't even WrestleMania.
No, I'm talking about Undertaker Cena.
Oh, okay, right. Well, going back to old timers wrestling, like I'm talking about Goldberg and talking about Sting, Tully Blanchard.
I'm curious to see that. Because I think that might fly because FTR's wrestling style is. I think they can include Tully in that in a way that's safe and not. I mean, like nobody's going to be expecting Tully Blanchard to do moonsaults. You know what I mean?
Right. The wrestling Jurassic Express.
Right, I know, but they can wrestle Jurassic Express. But what I hope happens, and I think this would just be a really cool spot, is if like Jungle Boy or Marco Stunt goes for a moonsault and Tully just takes a step to the side.
So Samoa Joe type thing.
Not a joke. I mean, but it fits.
No, I didn't say joke. I said Samoa Joe.
Oh yeah, yeah. And that would fit FTR's whole shtick.
Right.
Well, no flips, just fists.
Right.
I want Marco Stunt to do a moonsault. Tully Blanchard just steps to the side and then punches him in the face. I'm calling it. It's going to happen.
All right. We'll see.
I'm trying to remember what happened. Taz has neck issues too, right?
Yes, he does.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, I wonder why Taz hasn't gotten back in the ring, but I'm pretty sure he's done.
He's done. He's
Yeah, he got super messed up.
do what?
He got really messed up. Like his neck was not. Although he did put, I forget who did he put in the Kata Hajime. I forget. I think it was Cody. He came out and was telling them that he wanted them to recognize the FTW title.
It was Cody. Yes.
Yeah, it was Cody. I like to see the Taz mission applied every once in a while.
Wait, what was that name called again?
The Taz mission or the Kata Hajime? It's the same thing.
No, say it again.
Kata Hajime?
Kata Hajime?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for saying that. my friend who, was talking about my wrestling and everything. He and I started the wrestling company that we're in, XCW, and he hates that move so bad. Because he knew it as the Taz mission, and this is going back to me being a wrestling historian for the most part. Not saying I know it all, but for the most part. I was like, yeah, it's called another name, and I told him the name, and he's hated me ever since for that. And you just said it, so hopefully when he ever does watch this and he hears it, he'll be like, I'm gonna punch him so bad.
As long as he wants to punch you.
Huh?
As long as he wants to punch you.
Well, no, he'll be all right. He'll be all right.
But no, as Joey Styles always said, the Taz mission, the Kata Hajime.
Right. I'm like,
no, that's the general name, but when Taz does it, it's the Taz mission.
Right.
It's kind of like how. I mean, every name. What are they calling it now? The Hager bomb when he does the Vader bomb.
Yes. Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, that's what they're calling it. Speaking of which, I want to see more Sammy Hager. Can we please bring that back?
Sammy Hager.
Sammy Guevara, anyway.
He actually just quit the Inner Circle.
Well, I know, but he hasn't been on TV for a little while.
Because he's got a little. I don't know if you've read, but he's got a little heat going on with him right now.
Yeah, I heard about the thing with Impact, but here's the thing. I kind of sided with Jim Cornette on this one. I bet what they wanted him to do was so incredibly stupid because apparently Jericho even told him, just go home. The creative they must have had for him must have been really, really stupid.
Well, the spot they were going to do with him, they gave to Black Taurus.
Oh, okay. What was it?
The Join Decay. And, huh?
Oh, Join Decay?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Why would you have Sammy quit one faction and join another?
Right. Especially for Impact when it's not going to do nothing for him.
I mean, I'm not trying to shit on Impact, but I mean, it's Impact. Like, why would you move from the Inner Circle on AEW to a stable in Impact?
It's not just Impact. It's AE, TNA, Impact, AAA, New Japan Pro Wrestling. That's what it's called. NWA. That's what it's called.
AAA, Impact, WA.
WCW 2.0, yes.
Love it. I love it, though. I love it. Because there are some good things in Impact. There's very few. But there are some good things. Like the Good Brothers. I enjoy the Good Brothers.
Zing!
I'm sorry. Gallows is hilarious.
No, I've always liked TNA, especially for their good faults and their bad faults, but
there were periods where TNA was really good, and brings us back to our topic of retired wrestlers coming back to the ring.
Okay, like who in TNA right now is a retired wrestler? They came back to the ring.
Oh no,
I'm sorry, Impact.
Ken Shamrock.
True. Okay, you got me on that one.
Aha.
Okay, you got me on that one.
I'm trying to think. So I don't think he's wrestling in TNA, but Conan apparently still wrestles in AAA.
No, he don't wrestle at all.
He was at Triple Mania. He was in a big, or last year. I don't know if it was this year. He was in some big. He was briefly, but he was in a match.
Oh, was Vampiro in it too?
Yes,
I
I think. I'm pretty sure. I saw Vampiro.
I don't think Conan would be in a match if it doesn't have Vampiro, because they've got the longest running feud of all time.
I just thought it was hilarious because apparently in AAA, Conan is like playing himself as a Trump supporter, or at least he was. And he came out. He comes to the ring with a Donald Trump T-shirt, and the whole place just explodes into boos. It was hilarious.
Well, I mean, he's got the heat.
Conan knows how to get heat.
Plenty of heat. I've heard stories.
Conan knows how to get heat, both in and out of the ring.
Right.
Hell, the entire AAA company was started because of heat Conan had with CMLL.
Okay, now this is something I didn't know.
Yeah, he told CMLL to. I forget exactly what happened, but yeah, he told CMLL to fuck off.
Oh, I did not know that.
But then I guess he got more heat because I guess they were kind of like, okay, whatever, just don't run in Arena Mexico, and then he ran in Arena Mexico.
Okay, then. See, I've always, especially, I've always wanted to go see a show in Mexico, but I've heard stories and stories and stories. It's like, unless you're famous, like top notch famous, you pretty much don't go down there to watch it.
Oh, really?
Right. Because, well, because I watch a lot of story, like shoot interviews and stuff too. So, like I said, kids, this is how I get a lot of my knowledge. There's good parts of Mexico and there's bad parts of Mexico to be in, but only be in it during the daytime, not at night.
Yeah, because Arena Mexico's in Mexico City.
Right.
And there's I've not been, and it sucks though because when I went down to Mexico, apparently I had just missed a AAA show that was leading up to Triple Mania. Like it was one of their big shows, and I had just missed it. I was pissed, super pissed, because I kept seeing signs, but my Spanish is not perfect. So I was like, oh, I recognize AAA, but then I finally saw one with a date, and I was like, ah, shit, I missed it.
Well, no, that sucks.
Should have come down there 1 week earlier, man.
Well, but that's the thing, though. You never know.
Yeah, that's true. You never know. Plus, I don't know how much I would have enjoyed it because I tried, like, I watched Triple Mania 2019, and I watched the whole thing, but geez, watching AAA is like watching not even a car crash. It's just pure chaos.
Because you don't understand what you're saying?
No, that's not the issue. The issue is like nothing seems to matter because everybody's doing these incredible moves, but they don't stay on it for long enough to. It's too fast, and even the way they edit the show together, like it's cut, and it's just pure chaos. There's no rhyme. Like people were complaining about Lucha Underground compared to AAA. Lucha Underground was like in slow motion.
Right.
Like you could follow AAA was, I mean, not AAA. Lucha Underground was fast, but you could still understand what was happening for the most part. Right. I had no idea what was happening. Like everybody's just doing dives for the sake of dives that make no sense. Like at one point, I'll never forget. Like I felt like Jim Cornette when I was watching it because I'm watching it and it was a battle royal and somebody had just gotten eliminated. But it was a weird battle royal because you had to get pinned to get eliminated. It wasn't sending them over the top rope. So somebody had just gotten eliminated, and then somebody does like a crazy somersault dive off the ring to hit the person that had just been eliminated. Like it made no sense. And the part that stuck with me is like I don't know if they landed wrong, but they came down hard. And I'm like, it just didn't make sense. Maybe there's character beef there that I just wasn't aware of, but even then, it's like they're already eliminated. There's no point.
There, and this gets to the point of I've heard that like they do things down there a lot differently. I'm not gonna go into anything like political or nothing because I don't know for sure because obviously I've never seen it, but I've just heard stuff down there. So it's the way they do things down there is way different than
it's pretty different. And I do remember Jericho was talking about the Lucha Brothers when they'd only been in AEW for a little while, and I remember this was on his podcast, and I remember he was talking about how like they did a tag match, and I guess they missed a tag, and I guess he caught it, and he was giving them shit, I guess, when they came back, because he was like, you got to slow down, you got to pay attention to what you're doing, you got to make sure you tag, like, because I guess there's a running joke that in Mexico, like, there's no tags don't matter.
Same way in Japan.
No tags matter in Japan. Well, no tags matter in Japan.
Well, they do, but when it comes to like, okay, no, you're right. Tags do matter in Japan, but it's like Mexico.
Tags don't matter to the Bullet Club.
Well,
they matter in Japan.
I think I could realize this now when it comes to wrestling is you got your Lucha Libre, then you go to Japan, you start working more Japan style, which is more American style to a degree. Then you come to here, it's like, okay, now, yeah.
Well, and in the U.S. it's hard because there's kind of there's WWE style, then there's still kind of an old school original NWA style, and then but for the most part there's like this hybrid indie style, which is kind of a mixture of Lucha Libre and kind of like the WCW style. I don't. It's because it's not the WWE like brawling style, but it's hard. It depends on who you're talking about too, because Ring of Honor doesn't. It just depends on who's wrestling in Ring of Honor. I'm not sure what point I'm trying to make.
Well, Ring of Honor. Okay, Ring of Honor used to be about high spots, but they're not anymore.
For a long time.
Yeah, for a long time they were, but they're not anymore because they're all about. Ring of Honor's finally got its niche of. Even before they were telling stories, but not to a degree.
Yeah, which is why I didn't really enjoy the program all that much because other than what the Elite and Bullet Club were doing, I wasn't particularly interested in Ring of Honor, save for like the Briscoes always had good matches and.
Well, see, that's the thing though, is the Briscoes were like one of the only ones that would want to would want to make a story happen.
Right. They just, to me, it just wasn't as interesting to watch. It's kind of like why I can't really get into MLW. Like, I'm like, okay, like, but I don't really care because I don't know what's going on and I don't care enough about what's happening in the ring to get invested. I just can't. I don't know. I can't get into MLW or Ring of Honor right now.
Well, okay. Well, right. Because I think everything's going to change when the fall happens. Okay.
Oh.
Well, this goes back to like WWE and everything. Wrestling is pretty much, to me, wrestling's pretty much dying. Okay. And the only reason why I say that is because of the pandemic and everything. Okay. Yes, AEW has been able to get away with it to a degree with fans, but it's not the same. Okay.
No, it's not the same.
And same thing for NXT. They're in the building that they're in, they got fans, but everybody knows that it's NXT workers. Okay, and WWE themselves, they have the screens and everything for the Thunderdome. Okay, but at WrestleMania this year, they're actually going to let fans in.
But it's going to be limited capacity, right?
Right. Right.
I don't know how well that's going to go.
Okay, well, that's like I read where did I read this? It's about the Indianapolis Pacers. Okay, they're going to let fans in for the games.
Yep.
Okay, but they're only going to sell 10,000 tickets.
Ah, okay.
Okay, so once those tickets have been sold, then that's it.
Right.
Okay, now that's going to be the same thing for WWE. They're going to do the exact same thing by selling so much amount of tickets, and once those tickets are sold, that's it.
Yeah, which is what AEW has been doing with Daly's Place.
Right. Okay, but they won't have actual tickets. They'll have the thing to where it's on your phone, to where they scan your phone, and they'll actually have like meals already prepped, ready to go, and yada yada yada. So you'll be actually in the stadium, but you'll be spread out all over the stadium.
Right. Right.
So, and then it was this is all stuff that I was told. Not saying I was told by somebody from WWE or nothing, but a buddy of mine read about it, and they'll go back to the Thunderdome and everything after WrestleMania, and by fall they should be able to start touring again.
Oh, that's what you meant by the fall.
Right.
Oh, no, I think it's going to pick up because honestly, if this pandemic didn't happen, I think wrestling would have just flat out exploded because here's the thing too, like New Japan took a hit, but it was because of the pandemic. Because
Right.
New Japan was still on fire. Now they took a little bit of a hit when the Elite left, but they were still doing good because they got Kenta back. They got, Moxley was doing work with them. Jericho was still doing work with them. And now that they're working with AEW, I think, again, once the pandemic's done with and they can start having full capacity and touring capabilities, I think you're going to see wrestling is going to explode.
Right.
But the question is, I think this pandemic has hurt WWE a lot more than they're letting on. Now, not as a company because they're still making money. The company's still making money because they signed that deal with NBC because now your WWE network is no good. It's switching over to Peacock.
Right. Well, it hasn't yet, but
it's going to. WrestleMania is going to be on Peacock, not the WWE network.
Well, no. Well, right. Well, technically, it will be the network by itself.
It's going to be through Peacock because they put an ad out on Raw. I remember it said WrestleMania is going to be exclusively on Peacock, which is like. And Jim Cornette said again, he was like, okay, but like it's great because the company's making money, but you keep like the boys aren't making as much money, and now they're going to take another hit.
Right, and what I found out about that though is because the network's always been $9.99.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm like, okay, and everybody's trying to figure out like, okay, so how does that work for people who's already grandfathered in? Do they automatically get grandfathered into the $9.99, or are we grandfathered into the $4.99?
Right, that's gonna be a contract by contract thing.
But because like I have the network, and I was like, I'm asking people, I'm asking around, trying to look it up, and I asked a buddy of mine. I was like, who I'm not gonna say who it is or whatnot, but it works for WWE and everything. But I was like, because hey, he might know something. I was like, hey, how does this work? Do we get the $9.99 or do we get the $4.99? And the way I guess the way it's explained is automatically into the $4.99, but we still have to upgrade to the $9.99 regardless.
Okay, gotcha.
So, but on the terms of that, people's not happy about it. But on the flip side, you get not only the WWE Network, you get everything that's on Peacock as well.
Right.
So you're paying $10 a month for streaming from Peacock shows and yada yada and the network. But are they going to leave the network as is, like it already is, or are they going to treat it like Netflix? Because I know this is totally off topic, but like I'm a fan of Power Rangers, and they took Power Rangers off.
Well, the WWE Network was already doing that anyway because I had tried to search for a couple matches and they were not, like, I couldn't find them. And they weren't that old. They really weren't that old. Like, I was looking for, I'm trying to remember, I was looking for a Kevin Owens match and it was not on there. And I'm like, that's weird.
Okay, that is weird.
Like, that's really weird. But no, I was talking about how the wrestlers are paid.
Right. Right. Well, right, because they're not making money because of live stream.
They're not getting pay-per-view bonuses anymore because it's not pay-per-view.
Right.
You know, theoretically, I mean, and I don't know how AEW is doing that because they're still running traditional pay-per-views, which I am watching Revolution, damn it, because that's going to be awesome.
I am too.
Yeah.
Well, see, and they don't have really much merch sales because there's not really people there to actually buy the shirts in the program.
People are buying online, and apparently Orange Cassidy is still the #1 merch seller for AEW.
Right.
It's just awesome.
But WWE wrestlers are having Twitch accounts.
Not anymore.
No, because it's like, you can't be making any more money out the side, you know. We gotta have a piece of that.
That to me was kind of like the final straw because it's like, okay, like I get why you'd want to switch over to a streaming service and you'll adjust because from what I understand, just people's like contract deals were higher to kind of help offset that. Because WWE was making plenty of money off of the network, but it wasn't getting necessarily directly passed down to the wrestlers. But now they're doing all this. And then when they told people they weren't allowed to have their own private like Twitch accounts and OnlyFans stuff and stuff like that, and that's why Zelina Vega, one of the reasons Zelina Vega ended up getting released, I think, was because they told her she couldn't have her Twitch anymore, and she told them to fuck off. Pretty
much.
Yeah. So I stand with Thea Trinidad, and I hope Aleister Black gets released soon.
Well, look at Zack Ryder. I'm sorry, Matt Cardona.
Well, yeah, that was some bullshit.
Okay, but the thing is, though, his podcast alone, everything he's doing right now, I know he's signed with Impact Wrestling and everything, but his podcast, everything, he makes more money doing this.
Exactly. Well, that's the whole reason the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega didn't even go to WWE. The Young Bucks are making more money on their own. They were making more money on their own than a lot of main roster WWE guys. And
right.
They controlled their schedules, and then they started their own company.
Right.
It's like, I don't know. I'm not saying WWE is going to go out of business, but I think that because their ratings have been consistently going down, which part of that is due to the pandemic, because I'll admit I stopped watching when they didn't have crowds because I'm just like, this is weird. I can't do it. But especially in the key demographic, AEW is doing extremely well, all things considered. And they're starting to, on a couple of occasions, they've outperformed Raw. Now, granted, that's on a night-by-night comparison, but, I mean, for a company that hasn't even been around for a full 2 years.
Who's been killing NXT.
They've been decimating NXT.
They've been killing NXT, the developmental, and all of a sudden you're going to beat out Raw, and I think they even beat out SmackDown too.
Yep.
One point.
Yep.
So
they're getting ready to add more programming. They have another YouTube show coming, and I understand they're supposed to have another show on TNT.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't, because they're starting. Paul White's going to be doing commentary on AEW Dark Elevate, but that's on YouTube. And from what I understand, there's another TNT program. I think it's another hour, but it's not. Dynamite's not going to 3 hours, from my understanding. It's going to be another hour-long program for AEW that's supposed to be on TNT, from what I understand.
The same night, or
No, I think it's supposed to be on a different night.
Oh God, here we go. Watch
Well,
if you
I'm
Thursday
I'm
night.
kind of thinking the same thing because like when Dark came out, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But I'll be honest, I don't consistently watch Dark because I mean I don't have time. Like I want to, but I'm busy. I make time for Dynamite most weeks, but like I haven't watched a full episode of Dark in quite a long time. I did watch the AEW women's qualifying matches that have been on YouTube though. No comment.
See,
Again, I think it was just the lack of a crowd. It just doesn't hit the same.
see, and I know a lot of people are hating the Thunderdome thing. I like it to a degree because it's the closest thing WWE has to fans. It's more than a wrestler going out.
It's better than an empty arena. I'll give you that.
Right. It's like we have fans for our show. Okay, I'm not saying we're WWE or nothing. We're not, but we still have people come watch our shows and everything else. And there's times that we don't have a crowd. There's times we do have a crowd. And
it's better when you have a crowd, isn't it?
Right, especially when you can actually get them behind you for what you're trying to do. And with the Thunderdome, you can actually do that because they're obviously, you have to cheer, you have to boo and everything, and you obviously are hearing that. But when they were starting off with no crowds at all, then they had the plexiglass up. It's like,
There's something going on with your microphone there, buddy.
Going on with mine?
Yeah, you sounded like I can still hear you, but it just sounds a little bit different.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm here.
Yeah, that's okay. I want to keep it about an hour anyway, so we'll wrap it up real quick. But yeah.
Is there anybody in the chat still or no?
I think it just might be your phone, buddy. Like I said, we'll just wrap it up because I can still hear you. It just sounds different. No worries. Any other old timers you want to talk about before we wrap it up?
No, not this time. Not this time. I'm sure we'll have more to go with next go around though.
Oh well, speaking of old timers, and I was just talking about the AEW women's tournament. Aja Kong. God, she's been wrestling for.
It's just the Jurassic.
Pretty well. And I did want to make a comment though. I was talking about the AEW women's tournament. Did you catch Dr. Britt Baker and Nyla Rose?
I have not.
Good match.
Okay.
Really good match.
Okay. I'll have to catch that then.
Yeah, it was on Dynamite on Wednesday, so you should. And I'll admit I'm kind of upset that Thunder Rosa versus oh my god, who she faced because she's in the tournament too. Is it Thunder Rosa Nyla Rose? I can't remember, but the Thunder Rosa match is not going to be on Dynamite, which I'm kind of like, really, because that's going to be a good one. It's going to be on YouTube, but.
All right. Well, I'm sure we're going to have more to talk about in the next 2 weeks. Since we're doing this, every other week, you say?
Yeah, every other week. And for that reason, this is one where I don't really want to, like, there's tons of shows where you can watch, like, recaps where they tell you what happened. That's not what this one's going to be about. I want to get more into the, like, I like to make predictions, so we'll probably be doing some of that. But, like, basically just giving our 2 cents on the big stuff. Because I don't want to be like, okay, and this week on Dynamite, Cody said something funny, and then Nyla Rose beat Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, to qualify for it. Like, that's just boring. Like, you can go watch Wrestle Talk if you want that kind of, or you can watch the wrestling. That would be even better.
Or watch Donna Keel with her rift.
There you go. Yeah, there's tons. There's tons you can go to. But if you want to hear a wrestler and a guy who likes wrestling talk about wrestling, we're your guys.
Yeah, that's why. Right, that's why it's straight down the middle.
Straight down the middle. That's more of a referee thing, but it works.
Right.
All right, buddy. Well, we'll wrap it up for this one. I hope everybody enjoyed. Thanks again for Eric helping us clean up the audio. Now I know what to do for next time, so we shouldn't have to go through that again. That will do it, I think.
All right.
We'll see you in a couple of weeks, everybody. Until next time, enjoy.